Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om.
Namaste. So today we're going to talk about these chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. And in these chapters there are two main points. The first one is explained in chapter 5. Why is Shiva worshipped both in personal form and in the lingam? And the answer is, of course, that Shiva is the supreme. Shiva is Brahman. So he has both the personal aspect and the Brahman aspect, the unmanifest. None of the other gods have this. None of the other deities are Brahman, only Shiva. So only Shiva, according to Vedic injunction, he's the only one worshipped in the lingam form. That's the simple answer. The more complicated answer is that the other gods are jivas. They're individual souls. They have karma. They have merits and demerits. They attain their high position through the extensive merits that they obtained in past lives. But they can make mistakes. They can fall down. I mean, they are not pure like Shiva's ganas. Ganas means the associates of Shiva in Shiva's realm. They can't fall down. They never fall down because they're on their way to Kaivalya, to Sayuja Mukti, to merging with Shiva. They're mokshas. They have moksha. They have complete deliverance from birth and death. Whereas the demigods or gods, even Brahmā and Viṣṇu, don't have that. I mean, to create the material world like Brahma and to maintain it like Viṣṇu, you have to believe that it's real. And you have to believe that you are real and that your actions and so forth are consequential and that you are the doer. So, in other words, they're in Maya. They are deluded to a certain degree. Certainly much less than an ordinary conditioned soul, but still, they are not in the same category as Shiva or his close personal associates. So that's the first point in chapter 5. And then in chapters 6, 7, and 8, begins the story of the manifestation of the lingam form. How is it that this lingam form, this column, this phallic emblem, as the scripture so discreetly puts it, is the symbol for Shiva? And the answer is, way back in the days of the beginning of the universe, Brahma basically picked a fight with Vishnu. And because of this, Shiva had to intervene. Otherwise, the worlds would have been destroyed. So he assumed the form of a column of fire, an endless column of fire. And even after they couldn't find the top or bottom, Brahma and Shiva still had a disagreement. Brahma used a falling ketaki flower to actually lie and say that he saw the top when he actually didn't. And for this, he was punished. He lost his fifth head. That's why Brahma only has 4 heads. And Vishnu, on the other hand, was rewarded because he was truthful and humble. And when he thought that he was wrong, when he thought that Brahma had seen the top, he even worshipped him with all 16 paraphernalia. So that's the story on the surface. Now, like all Puranic stories, this is an allegory. This is a metaphor for something deeper. Yes, there is a level of reality where Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva are all real persons and they interact in different ways. But why are certain stories included in the Puranas and others aren't? It's because they have deeper meanings. Now, Brahma is the personification or the incarnation of the Rajoguna, the mode of passion. So he's sometimes willing to do underhanded things to get what he wants. We see this in passionate people. Like kings are notorious for being diplomatic and lying and using deception and spies and various means to get whatever they want, usually more power. And Vishnu, he's the emblem of the mode of goodness, sattva guna. So he's very truthful, sattvic. And even when he becomes angry, he can remain calm and he treats Brahma with diplomatic caution. Oh, my dear, please sit down on this snake. And let's talk it over, you know. So Brahma represents the ego. The ego is the passion. I want this. I want that. I am so-and-so. I have such and such. This is the ego. This is total illusion. It's illusion because the ego, as we have discussed many, many times on this channel, is just software. It's just a pattern of thoughts. It's just an idea that I exist as a separate individual being. But this is impossible because, well, just consider the body, for example. The body has to have air or it dies within 2 or 3 minutes. It has to have water or it dies within 2 or 3 days. And it has to have food or it dies within a few weeks. So without these connections, and what to speak of companionship, relationship, learning, and other experiences in the world, the body needs exercise. We need social connections. We need so many things. We cannot exist alone, independent of the world. The world and the body are created together, and they exist together. And the world and our connection with it is necessary for our survival. So the whole idea of a separate individual being is completely false. This is like when the snake is seen as a rope. The snake is seen as a rope only because of some previous experiences or ideas. It is never really a rope. The rope is never really a snake. The snake is only there because of our mental associations. And, oh, that looks kind of like a snake. But actually, once we look closer, we see it's a rope. Nothing to worry about. Well, the same is true of the material existence. The material existence seems to be real, but actually it's simply a projection of our own egotistical conception of ourself. We think, I am the body, I am a person, I have a separate existence, I am independent, I am the doer, I possess things, I am this body, I am this mind, I am the designations and symbols and names that attach to these things, and so on and so on and so on. All Maya, all ignorance. So what is the actual truth? Well, the actual truth is that we're all servants of God, and Vishnu is really the ultimate servant of God, Shiva. And so he gets the reward of being honored equally as Shiva. and worshipped separately from Shiva with his own temples, his own mantras, his own festivals and scriptures, and so on. See, that's the benediction that Shiva gave to Vishnu. So that's a deeper philosophical interpretation, but there's also a psychological, psycho-spiritual interpretation, where that Brahma represents the ego, Vishnu represents the superego. The superego is the part of the psyche that says, well, this is right and wrong. This is good and bad. This is what I should do. This is what I should not do. So Brahma, being the impulsive, childlike rascal, right? Always getting himself in trouble. I mean, there's so many stories in the Puranas. But Vishnu is the good boy. He follows the rules most of the time. But even when he doesn't, he is following a higher order from Shiva. Sometimes he has to use deception to kill the demons, for example. So even though Vishnu is really the perfect devotee, he is worshipped as God. And this is because of Shiva's benediction. No other reason. And Brahma is not. Try to find a temple of Brahma anywhere. I think there's only 3 or 4 temples of Brahma in India. And I used to live near one of them, just a few blocks away in Kumbakonam, from a temple of Brahma. It was very small, and there's never anybody there. It's very plain and simple. There are no festivals, no congregation, nobody teaching there or even living there. So what Shiva commanded as a punishment for Brahma was actually how things turned out. See, that means that Shiva really is God. Shiva really is the supreme. He is the supreme being. He is Brahman. And so he is worshipped in both the personal form and the unmanifest form, the lingam. And why is he worshipped as a lingam? You know, it's kind of odd. The place where this happened, by the way, has become the Arunachala Hill in Tiruvannamalai. And this is also explained in later chapters, so I won't say much more about it now, except that the temple that commemorates this incident is called Agni Lingam, fire penis. So this Agni Lingam manifested in order to show Brahma and Vishnu that they had fallen into illusion, that their fighting was just ridiculous, because neither of them is the Lord. Both of them are simply servants of Shiva, and they find their fulfillment in carrying out Shiva's orders. And so Brahma was made the administrator of the universe. He's the admin, he's middle management. He has to do all the paperwork. But Vishnu became like an independent god and is worshipped separately from Shiva as a result of his sattvic qualities, that he doesn't lie, he doesn't cheat, he follows the Dharma specifically. So this tale will continue in the next few chapters, and then once we get to the part about Arunachala, then it'll be time for another explanation. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum. Aum Namah Shivaya.